Before we dive into my latest 2026 NFL mock draft, we have you covered right here on Chat Sports with all the NFL offseason coverage you could want. News, rumors, playoffs, drafts, trades, free agency coaching. It's your one-stop shop. Hit that sub button right now. If you watched our reaction to Dame Buger's latest mock draft, you knew this was coming. I promised you guys an updated 2026 NFL mock draft. Didn't even actually have to make any changes to it because the order went as expected from the divisional round of the playoffs. So, let's dive into it. No surprise at number 1. It is extremely obvious Fernando Mendoza is going to be the number 1 overall pick. What a story. Indiana winning the national championship. I love it. Congrats to the Hoosiers. Mendoza was under duress all night long. That run, though, was, I'm sure Raiders fans love seeing that. Jets at number 2. This is where the draft begins, and honestly, I don't know what they're going to do. I don't have a great feel, honestly, of who the next best player is. I don't know if Beno is actually the best player in the class, but he's the best quarterback by a huge margin. So it's a no-brainer. Reese slowed down as things went along. It wasn't nearly as good. He kind of cooled off a little bit. But I think he's still going to do a lot of fun stuff for you. Whether it's as a Frankie Luvo type of linebacker, maybe that's the best play for him. The Cardinals at 3, Francis Maugioa. I thought he played pretty well overall this season. There are moments like he's a little bit slower in the with the footwork than what you would like, but I think plugging him in as a right tackle option for a Cardinals team that has to protect whoever their quarterback is makes plenty of sense. I think you can argue David Bailey should go, too. He was that productive this year for Texas Tech. I don't think he's ever going to be a premier run stopper, but he gets after the quarterback, and I'm sure new head coach Robert Saleh would love to have him. Is this receiver or offensive T? I kind of feel like the Giants are going to take somebody to help out Jackson Dart and the new head coach John Harbaugh, and over the OC is probably Todd Monken. If the medical checks out for Jordyn Tyson, which I think is a bigger if than people realize, he'll be the top receiver taken. If not, how about Carnell, Tate, and Browns get an Ohio State kid, which I'm sure they would also love on that front. I think good chance they run it back with Shatter Sanders, and maybe a vet comes into the fold there. But giving whoever the quarterback is short-term and long-term, whether it's Shatter or they draft somebody next year or whatever, giving him help and giving them a chance for themselves makes a ton of sense. I am a huge Rueben Bain fan. I don't care that his arms are short. I know that they are. He dominates anyway. He's got good get off. He, I think, was really on display against Indiana when he and Heike Mesidor, more on him later, had that Indiana offensive line in hell all night long. I think he's an awesome player, putting him at edge with Danquin needing some help at the passenger spot. Whether he goes 2 or 7, I don't think he should sniff, falling at the top 10. But NFL teams do weird stuff. Can't rule it out. I think you can argue Bain's best player in the class. I think there's a lot of debate about that. I have my name who's going to be pick number 8 in a second. Who do you think is the best player in the 2026 NFL Draft? Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Producer Aiden was very happy with this pick, Caleb Diaz to the Saints. The Saints have been willing to assume missional value in the past, and adding a dynamic playmaker at safety would help out that defense quite a bit. Maybe they want to look at a receiver potentially to help out Tyler Shuck, but 2 guys already off the board there for the Saints. Chiefs at 9. I am very curious where Jeremiyah Love goes, cuz you can make an argument in the top 5 for him, frankly, of just like he's a top 5 player in the class. It's positional value stuff, but can some of those teams afford what is more of a luxury pick? I think the Chiefs actually probably could do it and would unlock new elements of the offense they haven't quite seen yet. The Bengals at 10. How about Peter Woods? Thought about, going with another edge rusher, linebacker, maybe a dark horse fit there. I think Woods is still going to be a top 15th, 20 pick. 10 is, I think, kind of the earlier end of his range, but the Bengals have had a trend of still throwing assets because they've missed on other picks and defensive tackle fits that mold. I'm going to get weird with it. At number 11, Kenyon out of Oregon to the Miami Dolphins. I don't know if Darren Waller is going to be back. Plus, he was so hurt, it's tough to trust him. Instead of adding another receiver, maybe you add the playmaker at tight end. As the filming, I don't know who the offensive coordinator is going to be, who the quarterback is going to be in Miami, but a playmaker who I think is a really good prospect. Clear first rounder for me in this class. Makes a ton of sense. Sonny Styles out of Ohio State, the linebacker here to the Dallas Cowboys. A lot of popular defensive picks across the board for the Dallas Cowboys, right? Styles, I like Jan a lot too, by the way. But Styles was very good for Ohio State. Didn't miss tackle until the CFP. Unfortunately, this would be a big boost for a Cowboys defense that needs, I'm estimating here, all of the help. Today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. The big game is almost here, and there's no better way to cash in during America's biggest sporting event and Prize Picks, where it always feels good to be right. And since the big game is right around the corner, that also means it's your last chance to get into the football action before next season. So close the season outright with Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups after you play your first 5 lineup. One of our Prize Picks lineups here for this weekend. How about Drake May more than passing yards, Cooper Kupp more than receiving more than catches, and Devontae Adams more than catches as well. These are all the the Goblin options, which are a little bit easier to hit but lower payout. I think it's worthwhile when what could be a defensive slugfest this weekend. Can also check out the new social feeds feature on Prize Pick. Share Prize Picks with your friends and copy lineups with a single click. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code CLNS to get 50 in lineups after you play your first 5,000 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right in the comments in the description of today's show. Let's go to our 2026 number 13th overall pick. Spencer Fano at offensive tackle is picked via the Falcons. By the way, protecting Matt Stafford or maybe a new young guy down the line makes a bunch of sense for LA. Cade McDonald to the Ravens. He is a run stopper. It's a little bit early, but I worry about Justin Matabic's health long term. I think adding another big key part in the middle, regardless of what this new defensive coaching staff looks with John Harbaugh out, does make quite a bit of sense. I love the fit of C.J. Allen or Sonny Styles in Tampa. I think Styles maybe is a slightly better fit because of his blitzing, but I think Allen has elite instincts. I think he was a huge part of a defense that struggled unless he was playing out of his mind, by the way, and had issues overall with the sporting cast around him. I think Allen is top 20, top 25 lock. He's got so much ability. I'm probably higher on him than most people are. The Jets back on the clock here. Let's get him a receiver for whatever that quarterback room looks like. Kyler Murray, I don't know. My woman, who's going to probably draw some Ross Stain. Round comps, cuz bit undersized but physical, and also went to USC here in G. He a bit more palatable. Preferred for a few to be Kelrick Falk, number 17. He'd be the Mike Williams conversation all over again, where he wasn't as productive, likable, do dirty work. And he's command race with Detroit on passing. He's a great friend. I am a huge fan of men sort of lane. Is there a trigger warning for this? There's a trigger warning the last sort of lane, and we're on the place by this. Whoa, we're one bullet for law. Unless I get teased tabered and he runs like a 4.6 40-yard dash, I'm going to have a tough time not putting him in my top 10, if not top 5 of individual prospects this year. He didn't get beat in coverage. That's what you want out of a corner. Now, the length, the size, we'll see about the speed. I think he's going to be a stud for somebody in the NFL. Cash's haul out of Texas A&M here to Carolina. I know they drafted 2 pass rushers last year. They still need more, though. They need more juice off the edge. They need more sack production. Howell is not going to be a great run defender, but he does have that juice off the edge. The Cowboys love taking hurt players. They did it Guy Savo Rao JMMCCOY. I think the combine's going to matter here. It's been awfully quiet around Jamin McCoy. By the way, from a medical perspective, I think he could have played had Tennessee made the CFP. But that's not a lock necessarily. But he does fit the Cowboys' MO at corner. and I mean that in a good way. We'll see what Pittsburgh ends up doing at quarterback. But for the time being, I feel like everyone's just going to plug in Ty Simpson here. He's quarterback 2 because there's nobody really else available as a viable option. Pittsburgh has not many very good options on the roster. The crop in free agency and the in-trade market is dicey at best. I think it's the Kenny Pickett thing all over again. Hopefully better, though, than Kenny Pickett. So, how many quarterbacks go in round 1? Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Chargers gets an offensive line help on the interior. Vega O out of Penn State has outside shot of being like a top 2 offensive lineman drafted, but the tackles always get pushed up. I don't know what's going to happen with A.J. Brown. Contract is extremely complicated, but even a year from now, the Eagles love doing this thing where they love drafting heavy ones to the ball and reversing it every couple years. They've gone defense heavy of late. Now they can go offense heavy. I think Boston would be a good fit long term. Caden Proctor out of Alabama. I do get some Evan Neal vibes. That concerns me, but I think as an option at left tackle with the Browns overhauling the offensive line, that some combination of receiver offensive line with their first couple picks makes a ton of sense for the Browns. Ake Mesidor, he's older. He's got medical stuff that's going to have to be vetted. That makes it a bit of a wild card unknown there. He was great this year. A massive breakout season. Yeah, he's going to be 25 come week 1, but if you're a win now team drafting the back end of round 1, you're probably okay with maybe a shorter shelf life. It actually almost becomes a positive for you, even if that is Spinzo. Number 26, Avon Terrell out of Clemson. I still think is going to be a good player in the NFL, even though Clemson as a whole kind of struggled this past season. We'll see what the Bills' defense looks like with Sean McDermott out. Casey Compton to the San Francisco 49ers. I think it's a no-brainer like fit-wise. I think he's a really good fit with doing some Debo-esque stuff, and the Nerds can't keep Ricky Parasol healthy, and they've had issues with Brandon Ayuk, and seems like he's done in San Francisco. So receiver makes a lot of sense. Caleb Lomu slid a bit more than I thought he would. We have to protect C.J. Stroud because, boy, he was a mess under pressure in the playoffs this year. Lomu might need a year. He needs to develop some strength, but I think there is upside as a left tackle starter. The Rams haven't always invested in corners. I like Brandon Cease. If you haven't paid attention, I think he's going to rise from a national media perspective at the NFL Combine, because he's going to be long, tall, and athletic, and NFL teams are sucker for those guys. TJ Parker wasn't as good this year either. Frankly, I think of all of the big Clemson guys outside of Kate Klubnik, who went from ESPN's number 1 quarterback going in round 1 of mock drafts to I don't know where the hell he goes now. He had a rough year, really regressed as a player, but the traits are still there. Pre-draft draft process could mean a lot for him. Not everyone's going to love Anthony Hill. I thought he was better last year than this year for Texas. I still think at times he's almost like better as just a blitzer moving downhill. Sometimes the instincts can come and go. I do get some Kenneth Murray vibes there. But I think Denver would be able to maximize him. Plus that, they are probably going to be in the market for more linebacker help. Colton Hood, the quarterback out of Tennessee, who has been a very popular mock draft pick for Seattle because you got to put somebody in there for him in corner is an area of concern. We'll see if Freak Woolman's back and had a very good year for the Volunteers as well. Who would I leave off of my N26 NFL mock draft? I'm sure there are some names. So, let me know in the comments section of today's show. Maybe a Braden Smith replacement here. Monroe Freeling out of Georgia to the Colts has a chance to go round one, by the way, just because of the always ever present need for offensive linemen. The Falcons take Zachariah Branch is one of Mel Kiper's guys in a big way out of Georgia. You have Drake London. You need something else. And London and Branch, very different height, weight, speed profiles do. The Packers' Josiah Trotter. I wonder if they lose Quay Walker to free agency. If so, adding a linebacker out of Missouri makes plenty of sense. There are plenty of fans, Trotter, Jake Gold, Anthony Hill, lot of good linebackers in this class. I am a big fan of Dylan Thiemann too. To where like I wouldn't be stunned if he snuck into the back end of the first round. Same with AJ Hawley. Jacksonville getting in at 56 would be very nice value.